Evening. I would like to officially call to order the Tuesday, November 7th, 2023 meeting of the Bolton Conservation Commission. And pursuant to the amendment of Bill H3548 and Governor Keeley's signing such amendment into law in March 2023, expressing certain provisions of the open meeting law, this public meeting of the Town of Bolton Conservation Commission is being conducted via remote participation. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but the public can access this meeting while in progress by Zoom Video Communications, Inc. Members of the public attending this meeting virtually will be allowed to make comments if they wish to do so during the portion of the hearing designated for public comment by telephone, cell phone, or personal computer using Zoom. Please utilize the chat or raise hand function if you wish to address the board. Applicants are usually left on mute until they're actually addressed by the board, and participants are required to please display their first and last names on their Zoom account. All of that said, per tradition, we will start with a roll call vote of members present. I am Brian Barabee.
Paul Brandwold. Jim Garrity.
Excellent. All right. First up this evening, the Bolton Conservation Commission will now continue the public hearing under Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Bolton Bylaw, Chapter 233, to discuss the notice of intent filed for 0 Butternut Lane, map 6.8, parcel 37. Lauren, is the applicant or someone representing the applicant here tonight? I see Tom's here.
Yeah.
I was going to say, if you could unmute Tom when you have a chance.
I think I'm all set to go.
Okay. So just trying to remember where we left off last time. I know there was a plan for this. There was some question as to where the naturalized zones would be as opposed to what areas could be maintained lawn. There were some changes you wanted to see on those original plans. So you submitted new plans earlier this week. I was taking a look at those. I was going to say, are you able to share your screen? Do you have the new one up on your screen, Tom?
I do. So just a brief background. My name is Tom Schutz from Goddard Consulting. I'm here on behalf of the applicant, Pam Duggan, who is also in attendance tonight. And this is 0 Butternut Lane. And the applicant is proposing a single family house, driveway, septic outside of buffer zone and riverfront area. The only impacts to the buffer zone is this section right here with the retaining wall and some grading and a little section of lawn. At the last hearing, we were looking to close, but it just didn't work out because we couldn't find the words to close it all up. So we amended the plan to now show areas of lawn and areas to be naturalized. And you also asked for kind of a breakdown of where we are of the naturalization versus the impact. So we're impacting a total of 3,000 square feet. There's going to be no impervious impacts in this area. It's all going to be either lawn or grading or retaining wall. So it's going to allow stormwater to pass right through those areas, no driveway, house, etc. in that disturbance. And we're going to be naturalizing a fair amount of the left-hand side of the property here. So that's going to be this entire section right here. So outside of the buffer zone, we're going to have 2,900 square feet of naturalized area. Inside the buffer zone, we're going to be naturalizing 8,304 square feet for a total of 11,204 square feet of naturalization on site. And that's compared to the 3,000 square feet of pervious buffer zone impact. So we're going to be naturalizing 3.74 times more area on site than what we're going to be impacting. So I'd like to open it up to the commission now for any questions or comments. And
thank you that was an excellent summary, much better than my initial one. We had talked, if I remember correctly, the areas that are in theory to be naturalized, we are looking to mow those intermittently, kind of along the same lines of the townlands, the lands that currently abut it, right? Am I correct in that?
that is correct. Yes, I think it was going to be on the same schedule as those abutting land parcels.
Yep. And I knew we need wording for that. I kind of had jotted something down. And then the other thing I believe we had talked about was just memorializing the line between lawn area and naturalized area.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. So I think that we can have a special condition about some bounds being set in place. They're not shown on the plan, but we're definitely happy to put some bounds or some kind of natural or some kind of demarcation between the buffer zone and the land to be naturalized for sure.
Okay, and like I said, we usually will leave that up to you as to we'll give you some options or what just denotes it. Those were basically the two questions I had. Again, I appreciate that the new plans came in. I had a chance to look at them this afternoon. But I'll open it up to other commission members. Are there initial comments, questions, or thoughts regarding this particular project or these new set of plans?
Just a quick question, Tom. My recollection was that on the abutting property, I think you guys had it as naturalized, but you wanted to make it lawn, so the applicant can walk back and forth between their property and this house here. Where does that, show me that on the plan here?
So it actually wasn't it was on the property. It wasn't off property. The area that we were concerned with last time was back here. So
Yeah.
outside of buffer zone, we just bumped the limit of lawn back a little bit, just so
Okay.
we didn't have any confusion with the closing of the hearing. So
Okay.
this section was bumped back to allow for crossing over between this property and Pam Duggan's property to allow her to travel more easily to help her parents out when needed.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So that's where your cursor is right now, is where you move the lawn back, if you will. Yeah. Okay.
Correct.
Yep. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from board members?
Not from me.
Okay. Any members of the public here tonight to comment on this particular hearing? Okay. Not seeing anybody looking to comment. Okay. So that's it. I guess I'd like to make a motion that we close the public hearing for 0 Butternut Lane, DEP file number 112-0734. Do I hear a second for closing?
Second.
All those in favor, starting with Paul,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
and Lauren, I'm an aye as well. All right, let's see if I can. I'd like to make a motion that we issue an order of conditions for 0 Butternut Lane, map 6.8, parcel 37, DEP file number 112-0734, as drafted and submitted at this evening's meeting, with the following additional conditions: that the line between maintained lawn and naturalized area be memorialized with some form of demarcation, be it split rail fence, solid fence, 2-inch diameter boulders, or conservation markers. And secondly, that the land, the naturalized land outside of maintained lawn be subject to intermittent mowing consistent with the schedule of abutting properties. In that, and I believe, okay. Sorry, I think that is the end of what I am proposing. Before I ask for a second, I just wanted to ask Tom real quick. I know we had questions about using a conservation seed mix, and I just want to see, was that on the plans?
No, it wasn't, but the conservation seed mix we're going to be using is the New England Wildlife and Conservation seed mix from the New England wetland plants.
Okay.
And that'll be consistent with the areas surrounding, with the
Yep.
exception of some of the poison ivy that's out there. So we'll have a lot of the meadow plants and kind of flowers and stuff like that.
Okay. So I apologize to Lauren. I probably need to start fresh on this one. So if I could just ignore my past motion, I'd like to make a motion that we issue an order of conditions for 0 Butternut Lane, map 6.E, parcel 37, DEP file number 112-0734, as drafted and submitted at this evening's meeting, with the following conditions: that the line between lawn and naturalized areas be memorialized, be it via split rail fence, solid fence, boulders of 2-foot diameter, or conservation markers. that the land outside of the that the naturalized land outside of the maintained lawn be subject to intermittent mowing consistent with the abutting properties. And third, that a regionally appropriate conservation seed mix be used to oversee the naturalized areas. Do I hear a second for issuing a order of condition with those three additional conditions?
Second.
All right. All those in favor, starting with Paul,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
and Lauren, I'm an aye as well. And I hope all three of those made sense. Okay, thank you. All right. Tom, thank you. Like I said, we will hopefully be getting a draft out later this week. Again, it's contingent upon us getting it written up and everybody getting a chance to get in and sign it, but we will hopefully be doing that within the next few days.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a good night.
Take care. Okay. Okay, next up this evening, the Bolton Conservation Commission will now open a public hearing under Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Bolton Bylaw, Chapter 233, to consider a request for determination of applicability for 115 Wilder Road. Lauren, is the applicant or somebody from Tillis and Roy here this evening?
Yep, I see David Russell.
Yeah, and I see Seth.
Yep.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, this is Seth Donahoe with Dillis Roy. I'm here on behalf of the applicant, David Russell, tonight. I'd be happy to dive into the details of our application when it's good for the commission.
That would be fantastic.
Great.
And Seth, I was to say, if you're able to, if you have the map up on your screen or the drawing up on your screen and you're able to share it, that would be fantastic as well.
I will bring it right up for you then.
Thank you.
So hopefully what's before you right now is an overview of the property. This is Mass Mapper's current ortho photo of the site, and we are 115 Wilder Road. It's a very long snaking lot, and it has a common driveway clearly visible in the aerial photo, and these stem off to the private individual driveways on each lot. Again, very visible on the photo. We've submitted an RDA. We are proposing to replace the existing gravel surface in kind and in place with a paved surface. And that is to be from where it leaves the common driveway up to the residence. And I'm going to switch screens for a second to bring up the actual RDA plan. And the RDA plan just shows the area in detail. Again, this is an in-kind replacement. The 100-foot buffer zone just clips the house. There's about 3,200 square feet of driveway. That's going to be replaced in kind. This is envisioned to be a 1 to 2 day job. So something that's very quick, as it has an existing gravel surface. They'll essentially remove what's unsuitable from there, remove it from the site, and then pavement will go in instantly. So it's a very quick, hopefully painless transition. And the reason the applicant is hoping to do this is over the years, the gravel driveway, it has been subject to some erosion, primarily with some of the gravel going towards the offsite wetland area. This would be a permanent fix for that, in that it would allow for a permanent traveled surface with no more need to maintain that driveway, subject to the gravel replacement on semi-annual or annual basement and minor grading. So overall, it's viewed as an improvement in our eyes from existing conditions. I believe it's a very straightforward project, and that's why we came forward with an RDA on this. And I would be happy to address any questions the commission has on this.
Thank you. I think it was a pretty good run-up. Now, I guess one of my questions, I was trying to figure out exactly where the property was. Google Maps can be funny where it shows you. And I was looking at your maps, trying to get an idea where this is off of Wilder. I know it has one of those shared driveways.
So the frontage is actually on Sampson.
Okay, all right. That makes so
yeah,
it's like the long toes. Okay. Was this part of the developments that went in there? I know those shared driveways with number of houses on them.
I will share my screen.
Okay.
And bring that up again. So I'm going to zoom out for you. So this is 117.
Yep.
Sampson Road comes up. This is the nice field. Its frontage, 115 right here, comes out. And the axis is actually on Wilder across from the orchard, comes in
Gotcha.
way back. This was definitely an exercise in the town's lot geometry at this point. So they are some peculiar shaped lots, but yes, it was a comprehensive development. I believe one of the things that actually led to the fire department having them post individual driveway number signs at the driveway too, because it is a little bit confusing. So your confusion is warranted. It is Wilder, but very different shaped lot.
Okay. And well, I guess one of the reasons I asked that, and this is the one that kind of throws me, is I thought it was part of that whole development, all those roads that went down, all those shared driveways that went down to all those housing units, right? And my understanding is when all those houses went in, the gravel driveways or the impervious surface were part of the overall calculations for the entire housing development. And that the driveways being gravel were part of the approval for the entire development as to how much land was going to be able to be disturbed in each site. And I just wasn't sure if that was already baked in. In other words, if that was already part of this, there was only so much land was supposed to be disturbed and you weren't supposed to be able to come back individually later to disturb further, depending.
So like I said, this is an in-kind replacement. And I believe the restriction would be on the common driveway itself, not
Okay.
the individual accesses off. Even the town's bylaw and common driveway regulations have evolved since this time, where they're much more specific. But generally, after we branch off onto the individual lots, that's a different thing.
Excuse me. All right, that. You see that one's throwing me. That was basically one of my questions, but I guess what you're saying does seem to make sense to me too. I guess my other question was, did you consider a pervious pavement? I kind of read through. I wasn't sure if you were going to propose that. It looks like it's not. You're proposing just a regular paving.
It is just regular pavement. I mean the applicants dealt with the maintenance of it, and as you're aware, that the pervious pavement does have quite a bit of ongoing maintenance with that in terms of sweeping it and cleaning it. And this is something that they want to do primarily for economical reasons too, is something that's easier to do. And essentially the gravel that's there is, in terms of permeability, it's probably almost no change to the actual pavement that's being proposed because it's been in place so long and is so compacted. You're looking at a very, very minor change in conditions at this point.
I guess those are my initial questions. Let me open it up to the other commission members to see if they have any initial comments, questions, thoughts.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. So are there any other houses who have paved driveways today, or are they all gravel?
Well, I can see 117, actually, I can see the paved apron at their entrance right next to us. I haven't been up there in years, so I couldn't comment directly on the condition of all the other driveways up there at this point, though.
Because I'm kind of going back to Brian's original question, that if we approve this, that really set the precedent that we have to approve all of these driveways eventually if people want to change. And how does that, impact the overall project, if you like?
I hear you on that. One thing to point out here, though, is that not all of the driveways are going to be within 100 feet of the wetlands, too. So there's portions that are outside the buffer zones. Obviously, this particular property is over 4 acres. They're all very similar. It's probably in excess of 800 feet just to get out there. So there's portions of it that could be subject to normal maintenance. I'd kind of look at it like if somebody wants to put a fancier roof on their house, it's kind of their business once they're on their private property. Well, I certainly respect your opinion on that. I don't know if it would be applicable to all of them. And I don't think the concern of opening the door to saying, hey, this guy got to do it, so why can't the next guy do it? It's essentially an in-kind upgrade.
Does I don't know if you showed on your plans where the buffer zone is for this property?
Can switch back for you. the dash line labeled 100-foot buffer zone, so it clips through. So even a portion of their own driveway extends out of it, but certainly
Oh, okay,
the access portion does go through it there.
okay. So maybe not even 2/3 of the driveway, really.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Other initial comments, questions?
Yeah, I just, back to your point, Brian, I just wonder if, you know, so I'm assuming they did a stormwater calculation back when they built this. If the calculation was based on all the driveways going up to the houses were included in that calculation. As opposed to just the common ones. I don't know the answer to that, or if that would even make a difference from a calculation perspective. I mean, there's a lot of land there.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm just to say I'll open it up for public comments and questions. But Jim, to your point, where I'm kind of leaning, Seth, just so you know too, is I just want to do a little bit more research on it. It's over 3,000 square feet. I'm not sure if there are ongoing conditions. Again, my first thought was I think a lot of the pervious versus impervious surface was calculated as one large development. I don't know if they have ongoing conditions. I don't know what was written about any of that stuff. I just need to look up some of those original conditions to see what was said about that. Again, you know, it's usually the avoid, minimize, mitigate, and it's 3,000 plus square feet, and there's no, we're not minimizing, we're not mitigating, we're not doing anything, and it's all right off the pond there. And I think they were kept as gravel for a reason. I understand that pervious pavement is, you know, takes more to maintain. But I think one of the reasons why pervious pavement exists is for projects like this, as you're getting in close to wetland areas or when you're in resource areas. In general, again, like, you know, you're staying in the same footprint. I'm not opposed to what you're trying to do. I just think I need to research what was done in the past, or what was said in the past, before we can approve any real changes in there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, hearing your comments, what we'd be happy to do, I believe my office participated in the original permitting of that. So if not, I could easily put my fingers on the documents related to that, and we could certainly give you kind of an executive summary of it. And if there's something that needs to be addressed, per your concerns, we can certainly incorporate that into the plans, as long as the applicant is willing to move forward in that fashion.
That, I mean, for me, that would be welcome. I'm sure we could find it too, but you could probably find that stuff faster and easier. And I just want to make sure we're not undoing something that the commission did in the past, basically.
Okay.
All right. So that said, is it okay if we continue until the next meeting?
It's fine with me. I see the applicant's on the call. If he objects, I'd certainly welcome to chime in now, but otherwise we'd like to gather that information and report back to the commission.
Okay. And I'm not seeing it raised hand for objection. I should say I didn't open it for the public. Is there any member of the public here tonight to comment on this particular hearing right now?
I'm the applicant.
Go ahead,
I'm David Russell. How are you?
Please. I'm well. How are you?
Good, thank you. So with regard to the paving of the driveway, desire to pave the driveway, we do have a lot of silt. A lot of the driveway, a lot of the fines of the driveway and the silt runs off into the wetlands, and there's continual potholes being created when there's heavy rain. So I've always felt that having a paved surface would certainly contribute to the fact that you won't have those fines running off into the streams or the wetlands. That's part of the reason. Another is just the maintenance of, you know, we used to plow the driveway and half the driveway would wind up in grass, and it'd just be a very, very difficult proposition. I think it would just be much cleaner for the environment if we just had a simple paved driveway. And again, we're talking about half of the driveway is in the resource area.
Yeah.
So
yeah, which is why they wouldn't want it to be.
I'm not aware of. I think
that's Two things I would say that, the reason why it's impervious in the first place is because, again, it's in the resource area. And the other thing I would say, and again, I appreciate my old house used to have a gravel driveway. I know how much of a pain in the rear end it is. I understand the potholes and how it migrates out. But usually with your house, there's ongoing conditions saying that, you need to maintain that and you need to keep it out of the buffer zone as much as possible and maintain the driveway. And I understand it's easier if it's paved. They do have a thing called pervious pavement, which does allow the water to actually go through the paving. It does require an additional degree of maintenance. But these are the things that we just want to look at and see what was
Of
in the
course,
original
of course,
conditions, if
that's
it was
part of the
there for a specific reason.
Yeah, and if there was any, I mean, we've done a lot of work with Greg Roy and the gang over at Dillis and Roy, and if there was ever anything brought up that it would be required, we wouldn't have come to the board, obviously.
Sure. Yeah, and again, again, with it being the existing footprint, I think it's something that we can absolutely condition. It's just a question of what was done in the past. If they had something in the past saying that we shouldn't, we got to kind of respect that.
Sure, of course.
All right.
Okay.
So anybody else here to comment tonight? Not seeing any. Lauren, our next meeting, 2 weeks, 21st.
21st. Yep.
What's our first open time?
Oh, we have 7 o'clock.
All right. All right. In that case, I'd like to make a motion that we continue the public hearing for the request for determination of applicability for 115 Wilder Road until our next public meeting, Tuesday, November 21st at 7 o'clock p.m. Do I hear a second for continuing?
Second.
All right. All those in favor, starting with Paul,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
and Lauren, I'm an aye as well.
Thank you, and we'll see you on the 21st.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you very
Thank you. And if you can find that info, Seth, that would be really helpful. Like I say, I know we have it, but you can probably find it quicker.
Will do.
Thank you. Oh, yeah, talk perfect. Okay. And Lauren, you good to continue?
Yep.
All right. The Bolton Conservation Commission will now continue the public hearing under Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Bolton Bylaw, Chapter 233, to discuss the notice of intent filed for 711/713 Main Street DEP file number 112-735. Is the applicant? I see Tim Hess is here tonight. Tim, how are you? No, I'm not sure if you are muted. Sadly, unfortunately, I can't hear you. How are you with sign language now? Any luck? Or sure. As you try to work on that, I'll just state for those for our lovely thousands and thousands of viewers at home that will no doubt be watching this later. Just a reminder where we left off with 713. We do have a revised plan that the applicant had submitted. This is all in riverfront area. The amount of disturbance was kind of too large for us to deal with. The applicant had submitted basically a letter saying that they met all the criteria for a riverfront redevelopment, which this kind of falls into. And we had just basically sent it off to the town's legal counsel, to double check and make sure that our lawyers, the town's lawyers, agree that they had met basically all of the criteria of that riverfront recapture and what their plans were stating. Sadly, there was a delay in hearing back from the lawyers and getting their research, and we finally did get all of their information back this week. I know the applicants also sent us a letter. They had sent us a letter from one of their legal representatives. Again, talking about how they met that criteria of riverfront recapture. And we were gonna hopefully further discuss tonight, but want to give Tim a few minutes to Tim is, I want to say, the lead engineer, one of the lead planners for this project. I want to give him a chance to get his audio up and going before we further discuss
Hey,
possibly.
Brian.
Yes. Hey.
There we go.
Okay, that works.
So we may get a little echo because I'm on my phone and not on my computer.
Okay. So I
But
don't know
did
if you
hear the preamble. So thanks for that.
Okay, that's what I was gonna, and that's basically where we stood to my understanding. So did hear from the town council. Right? They said, as far as the project itself on private property, that they felt you did meet those burdens that you had listed that you needed to meet for the riverfront recapture, and therefore it was okay for us to condition the project as we normally would, even though it kind of went over the square footage that we shouldn't touch if it didn't meet these criteria. The town council was perfectly fine with that. They looked into that. They checked all those. They were fine with that. The one problem they did run into when they looked at it is everything that is currently proposed that is on town land, we cannot touch. We cannot condition in any way anything that is on town land until you have received an easement from the town regarding that land. So as far as the project went, he basically said we could approve everything, you know, up to us basically, but we can't touch any parts of this project that fall on the town land, specifically those parking spaces, and I think where the bridge connects over by those parking spaces. Does that make sense?
That would include it does. I have a question or two to follow up. I would just add it also, it would include the boardwalk area.
Okay.
In my recollection, I suspect you'll recall this as well. It was probably back in February or March as we were completing the application forms. It might have been Rebecca or maybe it was Jenny, somebody in town hall pointed out to us the sort of, I'll use the word conundrum, by which the NOI was going to be seeking for you all to weigh in on and essentially, you know, grant permission for in relation to you know, certain activities, operations, whatever, treatment on property that was not ours, and for which we would at a later date seek permission through town meeting. And I'm not sure who sort of initiated this thought, but my sense was that we had a pretty clear consensus among applicant and folks on town staff and electeds in town that the appropriate move would be to have the Board of Selectmen sign I believe there was a portion of the notice of intent application that they signed indicating that, and I guess I'm going to paraphrase, so maybe this is a little bit dangerous, but my recollection is that indicated a kind of conditional you know, approval, like we grant you permission to behave with regard to the NOI as if you have permission to do this. Of course you don't, and we understand that will be under consideration when you present at town meeting. So I think I understand the point you made that your counsel gave you advice on. I guess I wonder, is it clear to you that they understood this earlier point about the selectmen's permission, and did that?
I did. I actually, if I may, I didn't want to cut you off, but I actually, because I was confused. You know, how do we do this? Can we do this? I actually want to talk to the town manager today, to get his input. And he, you know, in his mind, he said, you know, he was quite clear right from the start that you would need to go to the town select board and get a variance or request a basically a right of way here. And then that would, even if they approved it, that would then need to go to town meeting and be approved. And once the town approved it, then we could condition it. In other words, our commission, even if I wanted to tonight say, yes, 100%, we're fine with those parking lots, you could totally do them 1,000,000%. It's just not binding. We have no jurisdiction to let you build on town land that you don't already hold oh God, what's the word I'm looking for? A right of way, basically, on. And in talking to the town manager, bringing this up, he said, in his opinion, and again, this was him, he said he thought he had made this quite clear to everybody ahead of time, that you would need to get this from the town first before we could condition it at all. And again, we can condition the rest of the property. And just talking with town council, I said, can we cut it out? Can we say, yes, we approve these conditions with the exception of anything that is planned on town-owned land? And he basically said, yes, we could kind of do that and split it. So the stuff you're working on now, the stuff that's on private property, if other commission members are fine with how it was proposed and what was proposed, we could grant that in the order of conditions. But we honestly can't say anything, approve anything about anything that's on town-owned land until you have a legal right of way there.
I understand. Brian, could you grant me a few minutes? Craig, the client, and several other members of the team are on the call tonight.
Yeah.
And I'd like to just sidebar with them a little bit and make sure I understand how we collectively want to proceed.
I think that's perfectly fine. And again, as I'll any other commission member, raise your hand if you have an issue. But if other commission members are fine, I think we can table this for 5 minutes. We can move on to some of the other stuff on our agenda and give you guys a chance to talk it through. All right.
Thanks very much. I appreciate your patience, and we'll be back to you shortly.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. So for other commission members, why don't we give them a few minutes? If we want to move further down the agenda, you see we have our lovely budget review line item. Lauren, were you able to find out when they actually need our budget submitted by, or?
No, I wasn't able to
Okay.
follow up with that today, but for the next meeting I can get it. And I'm pretty sure the deadline is going to be early January. So I think there's a little bit of time, but I just want to make sure I get an exact date for you.
100%. Yeah. For Jim and Paul, I talked to Lauren a little bit about this today. And again, I know the budget's been out there, but it is fast approaching when we need to actually approve or disapprove. So again, if you have a chance to look at it, that's great. I said, Lauren, we're going to put it on the agenda for next time. So we have a chance to at least look at it in a public hearing, put it up on the screen, kind of discuss it, get some feedback, and that way we can kind of set it before the final deadline, which again is probably in January.
So just to clarify, Brian, this is the fiscal year 24 budget we're talking about, which the fiscal year has already started.
This is a fiscal year 25 budget. This will be the budget we will be asking for next year.
Oh, this is next year's budget. Jesus.
Correct.
What is the exact fiscal year anyway?
It's June it's June 1st through July 31st. And Lauren, correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I believe we run the June through July fiscal years for the town.
That sounds right to me. But now I'm
Okay.
wondering if we need to update the agenda, so that should be
Yeah,
25, not 24.
Yeah, it
Okay.
says 24 on the thing, and I thought we had done that a long time ago. So
Yeah.
I get confused by those all because 24
Yeah.
it ends in 24, right? I can never remember, but this would be for next year's, starting next July 1st,
which is a really early start, but okay, that's fine.
Well, so generally speaking, and seeing how they're talking, what will happen is all the departments will submit their budgets, and this gives planning advisory board a chance to review the budgets. Advisory will have each department in. They'll usually have 2 or 3 departments every week come in. to actually kind of go through the budget with us, and then they put together the full town budget. So this just gives them enough time to get everybody's kind of final budget and then actually have everybody in so they can talk to them and walk through the whole thing.
Got it.
Which is a lovely, fun process if you are available when we get called to advisory. It's always a good time to meet with them.
Sure.
Sure, I'm sure we'll put it out there. All right, so that is budget. So again, coming quick. If you have a chance to look through it now, great. If not, we're probably gonna throw it up on screen and talk about it next time.
Yep.
Same thing with our bylaw regulations. I think we were all relatively comfortable with them. But those are ones that we should probably, again, throw up on screen just so if members of the public are watching, we can get any kind of discussion or comments before we submit it for the annual town meeting. Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, and we are on target to get that into the town meeting for next year.
That is my understanding. That is my understanding. Did people in the meeting packet get a chance to look at the minutes from the October 17th meeting? And if so, any edits, corrections, changes, or does anybody need more time to read through the meeting minutes?
Oh, fine.
Both good. Then I'd like to make a motion that we approve the minutes from our October 17th, 2023 meeting as drafted and submitted at this evening's meeting. Do I hear a second for minutes?
Second.
All right, all those in favor, starting with Paul.
Aye.
Jim.
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. It's like they're still talking, so we have a few more minutes. Just getting to the end of our agenda, I don't really have any updates on conservation land. As far as I know, the Bolton Trails connectivity projects are still ongoing. I know I have some emails from members of the Trails Committee. I need to get back to them. They had some questions. I don't know, Lauren, if you get questions from the Trails Committee a lot. Okay. There are some questions about what was approved and what can be done. I just need to read through some of the emails and possibly get back to them. But I might be bothering you at some point, Lauren, to help me research some of this stuff. As always, our volunteer land steward position is still available if anybody is interested in a small challenge in their life, which can be very rewarding. We are still 3 members short of the Bolton Conservation Commission, so we would love any new person to sign up. As a reminder, we do have associate membership, so you can join the commission and as a non-voting member, basically just lets you attend meetings, attend site visits, kind of figure it out what it is we have to do behind the scenes, and see if it's something you're interested in. Well worth doing and appreciated by the town. We could really use some more volunteers. So all that begging done, just want to check in. I was going to say, I'm not sure if anybody from 711, 713 Main Street can hear me. If you are able to, or if you're still off in meeting. I'm going to go with still off in meeting.
I think we have another agenda item, don't we?
We do.
Long Hill Road, yeah.
We do, and I think I'm going to move on to, yeah, because I think we can handle this one in a few minutes. All right. So next up on our agenda, and Lauren, I'm not sure if either the applicant or somebody representing the applicant is here for 38 Long Hill Road.
I believe Bruce Slater is.
And
Bruce, are you here?
I see a Bruce.
And I'm not sure I'm in the meeting yet. My name is John Mecklin. I'm also here with Mr. Slater. I was a building contractor that worked closely with Bruce to build his home.
Okay.
So I think Bruce is up there in the header.
There he
I think
is.
he's here.
I see him. All right. Lauren, are you able to unmute Bruce? Or is Bruce muting himself?
Hello?
Hi. Okay.
Hi.
So my understanding is you guys are looking for a field amendment for 38 Long Hill Road?
Correct.
Yes.
Do either of you have like a plan up that if you were able to share your screen to pull up what the plan looks like now?
Yeah, Lauren, I guess, Lauren, I would ask that you put up the original plan that was associated with the order of conditions. Can you pull that up?
Let me unmute myself 1 second.
Thank you.
Welcome to Zoom. For your meeting ID followed by pound.
Sorry, I'm just trying to share my screen here.
All right, Lauren, thank you.
Okay. Yep. Okay, can you see that?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So I'll try
Okay,
to
maybe if
zoom
we
in a
could,
little bit.
that might be the second page of the plan. If we can go back there. Okay,
Oh, there we go.
This one
If you
here.
could kind of zoom in, a little more. Okay, that's good. So the big picture is the scope of work has not changed at all. The house is located in the as-built, which we can look at next. The house is exactly the same size, exactly the same place. The backstory here is the house was well under construction, and last winter we started in on the septic system to kind of stay ahead of the cold weather. And what we found immediately upon preparing the site was that the soil testing was highly inaccurate. And the reason for this is this area 50 or 60 years ago was a gravel pit, and the perimeter areas were reclaimed. So what looked to be beautiful gravel in the test pits done by David E. Ross, upon commencing installation turned out to be kind of false positives. And there's plenty of beautiful gravel there, but it was 8 to 9 feet deeper down through a mix of sub and topsoil, deeper than was anticipated. So I immediately brought the situation up to Rebecca, and she said, well, listen, you are not changing the scope of the project. The field is going to be in the same place. But I understand, and this was explained to her, that the grading associated with the field was going to change because now we have to install the system in the precise same location, only 8 feet deeper in the ground. So we proceeded, constructed the system, and Mr. Slater's working right along, kind of stay ahead of the weather on the mitigation areas. He's got a lot of that done. We're not here tonight to look for compliance because it's still a work in progress, but we need to know how we're going to address kind of finishing this out. So just briefly, without getting into contour lines and counting numbers and things, but right now it can be observed that the finished grade right along the top of the trenches, there's a 92 in a box right in the center. So that was thank you. That was the proposed finished grade of the system. And you can see with all the contour lines lined up above that, that there was quite a grade change between that system down a steep slope to the front yard of the house. So now if perhaps, Lauren, you could switch to the as-built plan.
Sure.
So the original number that I just quoted was 92, and now the box across the top of the system is 85. So the field is 7 feet lower in the precise same spot, but the steep banking has now been moved down your screen, and the change in elevation is now all between the stone wall and the field.
Gotcha.
So again, it's the same contour difference. It's just in a slightly different place. I guess maybe it matters that it's outside the buffer zone, or I'm not sure what the ramifications of that are. I guess that would be in my favor. But anyhow, so again, we need to know how to address this. And it's unclear to us whether this is something that's going to require an amended order or if this can be dealt with by observations and field notes by your representatives and noted, in the file upon completion of the work. So that's our question. As we're putting the site back together, how do we cover ourselves paperwork wise, with the commission in the proper fashion?
Good question. Oh, and this is
That's right. Good
This is
question.
why we
That's why
like
we're
to have
here.
Rebecca, because I know Rebecca knows these ones right offhand. But My recollection is that generally speaking, if it's a relatively minimal change and a necessary change, in this case, kind of moving away from the buffer zone, kind of moving a little further out, and it's not anything major, it kind of has to do with some areas of grading, and again, we're grading in that area, that oftentimes we will allow something like that to be done via field amendment.
Yep.
And require that it show up on the final as-built.
Right.
Because
Which
again, I
we
know
now
the
have
original
in
orders
front of
call
us.
for an as-built, you know,
Yep.
as it is constructed.
Yep.
That is my recollection. I don't see enough significant change here. And again, I can understand why you had to move what you had to move, that I would think we would require anything besides that, but let me put it out to commission members for their initial thoughts or comments.
And if I could interrupt just for a second, I didn't know, you know, I'm kind of got my jaws
ahead.
flapping here. I didn't know if Mr. Slater had anything, you know, to add at this point that the
No.
commission should.
No,
Okay. Good, fine. Yep.
All right. So again, commission members, anybody else have initial thoughts, comments, questions?
I think it looks fine.
Yeah, no comments from my side.
Okay. In that case, oh, and I should ask any members of the public here tonight to comment on this particular hearing. I'm not seeing any. All right. In that case, guess this is something that we would be doing. All right. So for commission members, I'd like to call a roll call vote to approve the field amendments to 38 Long Hill Road map 4.T parcel 60 DEP file number 112-0687 as submitted at this evening's meeting. All those in favor of allowing the field amendment, please say aye, starting with Paul.
Aye.
Jim.
Aye.
And Lauren, I'm an aye as well. And I think you guys should be fine then.
I don't have anything to argue about that.
Okay.
thank you
Okay.
very much.
Have a good night. Thank you for coming
Yeah.
in. Yep.
And thank you, commissioners and Lauren for your time.
Yes, thank you
You're
all.
welcome.
Okay, yeah, good night now.
Good
Bye-bye.
night.
Good night.
Signing off. Leave me.
All right. 7/11/7/13. Mr. Hassett, have you guys had a chance to discuss? Okay. Good. I was gonna say, could we?
We
unmute
have,
you
yes.
or- Okay,
Yep, can you hear me?
I can. Yes.
Okay, great. Thanks for your patience. I'm sorry we took a little longer than we anticipated.
Sorry.
But yeah, I mean, I think, you know, apologies for having misunderstood the, you know, Mr. Lowe's advice a couple months back. But, you know, we understand that we can't do anything on that portion of our proposed project until we go to town meeting anyway. So any expanded approvals would really only be hypothetical, wouldn't really do us a lot of good right now anyway. So I think the right move is to, you know, frankly, take what we can get tonight, and we'll move forward.
Okay. So that said, commission members, I just want to make sure you understand. So this is the project as we saw it. We can basically, if you're comfortable with it, we can agree to it, basically condition to it as proposed. I think we had, I'm trying to look for my notes. We had some comments about invasive species management as an ongoing condition. I don't think we had any other changes to the last set of plans we received as far as what their planning plan was, the trees they're planning to remove, all of that down the line. Am I misremembering this? Do commission members have any additional comments, questions, or thoughts about the plans as they were last presented? Any conditions I'm missing or changes they wanted to see?
No, I think we talked about the equipment, you know, taking out the existing foundation to, I think there was something about equipment in there. That might already be part of the plan. I can't remember.
Yeah, it's to the stockpiling of where the equipment was, and I believe it was, right?
Yeah, and then the type of equipment that was going in there to do the work, you know, that kind of stuff. But otherwise, I'm okay with moving forward.
Okay. All right. In that case, like to make a motion that we close the public hearing for 711/713 Main Street. Do I hear a second for closing?
Second.
All right. All those in favor, starting with Paul,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
and Lauren, I'm an aye as well. I'd like to make a motion that we approve the order of conditions for 711/713 Main Street with the following conditions. That invasive species management be listed as an ongoing condition for property maintenance. And that any areas on the submitted plan that are currently town-owned are not covered under this particular order of conditions. We do not currently have jurisdiction over that area and can make no and cannot agree to any parts of this condition that mentions areas on town-owned land. Do I hear a second for that?
Second.
All right. All those in favor, starting with Paul,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
and Lauren, I'm an aye as well. Okay. And I guess the one thing I would say to Tim is, you know, in theory, you would have to come back for those sections on town-owned land. We understand that you know it's part of a larger plan. We have the larger plan in place. If you are to come back to ask for those areas on town-owned land, I think we can work off the plans that we already had submitted. It's not like something new would have to be drawn out. You know, if that helps a little, that's about all I can offer, unfortunately. So that said, good luck with the rest of the project, and we will be here when and if to finish out those other last sections.
Well, thank you very much. I know this was a challenging project for all of us, and we have all been at it together for a long time, and I'm happy with our conclusion tonight. So we'll see you again in some months, and we'll see you around town.
All right, you guys take care.
Thanks.
All right. I was to say, I don't have any updates on the enforcement orders. And I don't think I see anything else on the agenda. Lauren, is there anything I am missing?
Nope, I think that is it.
Excellent. So commission members, any new business, anything you just really want to get off your chest? Little group sing along, nothing? All right.
I'm just wondering if we need a campaign to get new members to join us.
We do. Yeah. I'm never sure how. I bug as many people as I can.
Yeah.
But they see me coming half the time. Gotta find those new people to town.
Right.
Okay. And I was gonna say, I'd say that too, Paul, if you know, if it's always for both Paul and Jim, like if you know anybody, or if you hear of anybody, or if you meet anybody, you know, always be happy to reach out and say, you know, I'm happy to email somebody and just say, here's a quick rundown of what it's like to be on the commission. And, you know, it's not that hard. You don't have to vote right away if you don't want to, and kind of what the time commitment is. Cause it's, 3 of us are still walking upright, right?
Yeah, for now.
It's not that bad. All right. All right. So that all said, if there is no other new business, I'm going to go ahead and make a motion that we hereby adjourn the Tuesday, November 7th, 2023 meeting of the Bolton Conservation Commission. Do I hear a second for adjourning?
Second.
All those in favor, starting with Paul.
Aye.
Jim.
Aye.
And Lauren, I'm an aye as well. Thank you all
Thank
very
you.
much. Well, have a lovely couple of weeks, and we'll see you around town.
All right. Sounds
Thank
good.
you.
Have a good night.
Aye.